Welcome, Moon and Star, to this place where destiny is made.
Stop!
Dagoth Ur has got to be one of the most confusing villains I've ever encountered in a video game, and definitely the weirdest one in the Elder Scrolls games. So who was this guy? Is he trying to build a god? Was he a god? Is he insane? Is he enlightened? What's his connection to the Dwemer people and their disappearance? Welcome to the Villainpedia. Today we're going to learn about Dagoth Ur, main antagonist of the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. So before we get fully started, let's go over just a couple key terms here for the non-hardcore Elder Scrolls fans. Number one is Chimer. The Chimer were an ancient race of Mer, or elves, who were eventually cursed and turned into the Dunmer, or modern Dark Elves. Number two is Dwemer, the Mer race of dwarves, with a weird, rich history of engineering and technology. Number three, the Heart of Lorkhan, an artifact of legend. It's literally the heart of the creator of the material plane of existence, so obviously a super powerful relic. And number four is the Tribunal. The Tribunal is the three leaders of the Chimer/Dunmer people that were worshipped as living gods. So as we begin, let's also just accept the fact that Dagoth is shrouded in a lot of mystery. So to profile him accurately, let's just do a history lesson and kind of frame him with the events that he's involved with. So what we do know is that he is a Chimer male, born as Vorin Dagoth into the great house Dagoth in the First Era, literally thousands of years before the events of the Elder Scrolls 3. Again, very little is known about his childhood and his rise to power within the house, but eventually, as an adult, he finds himself as the Lord High Chancellor, so obviously a pretty important guy. It was around this time a hugely important battle known as the Battle of Red Mountain occurred in Morrowind, in which the Nords were defeated and finally driven out of the region by the Chimer and the Dwemer people. This victory forged an alliance between the two long-feuding groups, and it was known as the First Council. This council worked as intended for about 2 centuries before our man, Vorin Dagoth, discovered something, though we don't exactly know how. He found that a Dwemer man and engineer named Kagrenak had found the Heart of Lorkhan, that stupidly powerful Aedric artifact, and intended to build a brass god, a giant golem with the heart as its source of power, apparently to wield in opposition of the Chimer. When this plot came to the surface and it was confirmed by the Tribunal, war was declared. The fighting began, and soon after, the brass god was activated by Kagrenak. At this exact instant, the entire Dwemer race, all of them, well, pretty much all of them, vanished from existence. This is another, super confusing and debated event, so I'll cover that at a later date. Now, with the threat of the Dwemer seemingly dealt with, the Chimer were left with a hot potato, and that was the tools of Kagrenak, items used to manipulate and draw power from the Heart of Lorkhan. Now, Nerevar, the war leader and champion of the Chimer, entrusted the tools to be safeguarded by his good buddy Dagoth, but Vorin Dagoth actually lobbied to have the tools destroyed. Eventually, after much deliberation, Nerevar conferred with the Tribunal to just have them locked away for safekeeping. This was pretty much agreed upon, but Vorin kinda lost it. He declared himself keeper of the tools and refused to give them over to the Tribunal. It was also at this time that Vorin Dagoth was in secret, unlocking the mysteries of the heart for himself, using the tools of Kagrenak to siphon divine energy. It was also then that he became Dagoth Ur, the self-proclaimed god, though it is unknown if Nerevar gave him the name or if Ur gave it to himself. Now, what happened next is again unclear at best, with differing accounts of events, but essentially, the Tribunal confronted and fought Dagoth Ur and his followers over the tools, with Dagoth being slain, and Nerevar dying soon after. Some accounts have Nerevar succumbing to injuries from the fight, while others have the Tribunal poisoning and killing their good friend and leader. Another very cool and weird Elder Scrolls topic that will be saved for another time. So from here, the members of the Tribunal seize the tools of Kagrenak, and sometime later, use the tools for themselves on the Heart of Lorkhan, achieving immortality and godhood while simultaneously breaking their promise to Nerevar to lock away the tools. For this, they are eternally cursed, by Azura, the Daedric deity of dusk and dawn, their people to become the Dunmer, or Dark Elves that we know and recognize. It was also prophesied that their good friend Nerevar would be reincarnated to hold the tribunal accountable for this betrayal. Okay, so now we really have to cut some of the fat here. The story of the tribunal and the Chimer in general is extensive and very complex, so I'm going to attempt to just stick to Dagoth from here on. So centuries passed, but the spirit of Dagoth Ur did not. Somehow connected to the heart of Lorkhan, feeding on its power, until sometime in the Second Era, he was given a new physical form along with some of his homies from House Dagoth. The Tribunal didn't know this. They made their pilgrimage to Red Mountain to renew their powers from the heart, only to find themselves shockingly confronted by Dagoth Ur. You can kind of imagine the godhood achieved from the heart to be like a battery, and while the Tribunal needed to come back and recharge, Dagoth had literally been plugged into the outlet for a few thousand years or so, making him just immensely powerful and a little crazy. Okay, so we have to briefly talk about Kim. Now, Kim is complex. The SparkNotes version, just for the sake of this video, is as follows. Achieving Kim in the Elder Scrolls is to essentially break through and come to the material understanding that all of existence is simply a dream of a sleeping god or the Godhead, while retaining that conviction that you are an individual who must exist regardless of this fact. The being would then essentially be lucid dreaming within this dream, able to manipulate physical reality and just be crazy powerful. The only confirmed people to ever achieve Kim are the hero Talos, who's coming in another video, and Vivek, who's actually a member of this very tribunal. But if someone was to break through and lack that conviction of individuality, they would essentially be divided by zero and cease to exist. It's pretty common thought that this is maybe what happened to the Dwemer people when they attempted to build a god and they all vanished. But this brings us back to Dagoth Ur and his physical death at Red Mountain. In the powers he had taken from the heart and his inability to fully die when tied to it, Dagoth was fed a sort of perverted vision of achieving Kim. Instead of breaking through and realizing that essentially everything is all, he took it as all are me. Some fans call this anti-Kim, but that's totally just like a theory, and I don't know. I personally think that he was just incredibly confused and driven mad by this misconception, essentially creating an insane god in physical form, ready to crack skulls and maybe build a little something inside a Red Mountain. This also earns him the title from Vivek, the Sharmat, or False Dreamer. Now fast forward a little bit to the Third Era, when the Nerevarine, our main player character, is sent to Morrowind to investigate things, and we have all the makings of a great adventure and a final adversary. So all that background's great, but what exactly is Dagoth Ur attempting to do? Why do we need to stop him in Morrowind? Now in short, Dagoth Ur is attempting to build a second brass god, known as a Kulakhan, using that very same heart of Lorkhan. He's also spreading disease in the Blight and Corpus diseases by the way of huge ash storms coming from Red Mountain itself. These diseases cause horrible cancerous growths and boils, and lead to ash vampires and zombies stalking the region to do his bidding. It's even said that he can use these thralls as puppets and speak through them. His endgame is essentially to transform all of Morrowind into a theocracy worshipping his constructed god Akulakhan, dismantle the tribunal, unite the Dunmer under one banner, and go on a crusade. The only way to stop him is to gather up the tools of Kagrenac and come directly for that heart. It's also kind of interesting and cool to note that upon Dagoth Ur being defeated, aka the heart of Lorkhan's destruction, it also would sever the tribunal from their godhood as well, just in a nice way tying his fate directly to his adversaries. Now none of this is to say that he's just like a rabid demon kind of villain. He's actually kind of charming and definitely funny, and intends to implement charismatic persuasion along the way to achieve his goals.
Dagoth Ur welcomes you, Nerevar, my old friend. But to this place where destiny is made, why have you come unprepared?
And I think this video would be like another 30 minutes if it included the full scope, step by step, of his plan. There's also tons more information about Dagoth and his relationship with the Tribunal, with Vivec, with Nerevar. I mean, in the 36 Lessons of Vivec, a book series in game, there's just a ton of light shed on this. But as things get deeper, it just gets abstract, almost psychedelic with Dagoth Ur. But if you're at all interested, I definitely suggest you check out some fan theories or analysis online. I think Dagoth Ur fails ultimately because he's unable to hold control of the tools of Kagrenac. These are key to manipulating any sort of power coming from the heart, and unable to be recreated in any way, shape, or form, as Kagrenac, the Dwemer guy who was the sole creator, is long gone. Additionally, through his delusions of immortality and ascension, he overlooks the Nerevarine prophecy and that it could be his own downfall. He sees himself as all, and all as him, when in reality, he's just confused and kind of tragically evil. So that is Dagoth Ur, a spectacular villain shrouded in mystery to this day, and remains, in my opinion, the finest of all Elder Scrolls antagonists. That concludes this Villainpedia entry. If I was incorrect in any lore, please correct me in the comments. Also, let me know if there's any villains that you would want to see added to the Villainpedia. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.